Good evening and welcome back to The Country, Canada's most watched news show. Well, you may not know it, but today is a holiday. It's not Father's Day, it's not Grandparents' Day, it's not even Secretary's Day. No, today is International Men's Day. The Minister for Men's Affairs stated recently that we, quote, we don't need to separate the men from the women in this country. She went on to say that, quote, a lot of issues are not men's issues, they're Canadian issues. The statements come following the decision to halt spending on men's rights advocacy and remove equality from the mandate of status of men. Some activist groups, however, don't agree. They say that men still haven't achieved equality in Canada and deserve special attention, including their very own day. Tonight on The Country, we've assembled a panel of experts to discuss how men are faring here in Canada. Should the government provide help for men? Can men achieve equality on their own? Have they achieved it already? To discuss these issues and more, we have with us tonight Carmen Paglia, Professor of Men's Studies, Betty Kay, journalist and commentator. Good evening and welcome.
I'm here too.
Yes, last but certainly not least, men's rights activist
Actually,
Ken
I'm
McIntyre.
the director of policy and advocacy.
Now to the experts. I want to thank the Minister for taking the time to speak with us earlier today, and now here is a sample of what she had to say. Good afternoon, Minister. Thank you so much for doing this interview.
Thank you, Petra. C'est un plaisir.
Now, Minister, you recently stated that, quote, men's problems are Canadian problems, quote, but some say men need special assistance. How do you respond?
Well, you know, Petra, all over the country, ordinary Canadians are facing challenges, and our government understands that. We think every Canadian should have the opportunity to participate in all aspects of Canadian life. When that happens, Canada prospers. And I want to join with Canadians from coast to coast to coast in celebrating International Men's Day. Today is a time to acknowledge men's achievements around the world.
So you believe that men deserve special recognition?
Now, Petra, what I'm saying is that men have achieved great things. And we acknowledge that. This government acknowledges that. That's why we've increased spending in all kinds of important sectors. Professional sectors, like nursing, education, childcare, social work. And there are men who are nurses and educators. So they benefit from our economic action plan. But Petra, if you want to advocate for more opportunities for men to enter the workforce, you should be talking to the Minister of Human Resources and Social Development. And if it's Anglo-Saxon men, it's the responsibility of the Minister of Anglo-Saxon Affairs.
Alors, vous disiez qu'on n'a pas besoin d'un programme directé à l'égalité des hommes. Est-ce que vous suggérez que notre gouvernement devrait éliminer le statut des hommes?
Petra, tu poses une question très importante. C'est très, très, très importante. Et je pense qu'on devrait écouter les Canadiennes. Qu'est-ce qu'ils disent sur cette question très, très importante.
Some Canadians say that men are still at a disadvantage in Canadian society, that they are paid less than women working at the same jobs, that they face violence, that they have a harder time getting elected in office. How many men are there in Parliament today?
Our government's commitment to men extends beyond economic opportunity and includes promoting men in leadership. This is most evident in the recent appointment by the Prime Minister of a man to the cabinet position, Minister of State for Sport. And he's an Anglophone too.
Well, that says it all, doesn't it? I guess this time the men get to play ball. Now, we've heard from the Minister. Turning to our guest in the studio tonight, Betty, you've written about men. What do you think? Do men need a day? Isn't Father's Day enough?
Well, certainly I think we are beginning to see the pendulum swing away from the most strident voices in favor of special rights for men. Commonsensical Canadians are losing patience with the angry, blame-all-women school of men's activism. Talking to people on the street, what I'm hearing is that Canadians want to see that the needs of children will come first, because intact families are by far the greatest predictors of success for Canadian children than anything else.
So it's really about mothers and fathers working together, not just simply supporting fathers.
Yes, we need to jettison the power struggle paradigm that men's activism has been pushing for decades. We need to move toward a collaborative model in which men and women are equal in value but guided by nature and common sense, separate in their parental roles and influence. The result will be a happier, more productive generation of Canadian children.
But do fathers really have the support they need? What about single fathers? Are they getting the access to childcare that they need? What about abused husbands?
Petra, if I could jump in here.
Carmen Paglia, Professor of Men's Studies, please go ahead.
Actually, if I could...
The issue of equality is one with which I think we would all agree. However, there are different ways of achieving men's equality. Society is rapidly changing, and with it the role of men. At one time it was generally accepted that the role for a man was father and homemaker. In recent decades, however, new opportunities have arisen for men outside of the home, and great stress has justifiably been placed on equality in that realm.
But that's not actually true. Men don't have the same opportunity.
I don't think you want to say that men don't have more opportunities now than they did in the past.
No, they do have more opportunities, but they still only make 70 cents on the dollar.
Really, we agree. Men have more opportunities now than they did in the past. There isn't a need to make a special effort for men's equality anymore. We see this in sports, for example. Look at the Olympics.
Okay, I don't see how that you can say more male figure skaters is the same as equal political representation, economic well-being, or freedom from violence.
Look at the number of men in Parliament. It's nearly 1 in 4, and men are competing in all professional fields. Do we really want to patronize men by saying that they can't compete?
Canada is one of the most prosperous countries in the world. We have one of the best social systems anywhere. It's not as if we're living in the same conditions as a third world country like Finland or Sweden.
How can you say that we have one of the best social assistance programs in the world when every human rights body has condemned the level of poverty and lack of social assistance programs for men, especially Anglo men, especially in the southern part of the country?
Okay, I admit there are certain disadvantaged communities, but as the minister said, that is an issue for the Ministry of Anglo-Saxon Affairs.
Our social assistance rates are so low that the International Council on Welfare called them, quote, cruel. And that isn't even talking about the level of violence that men face.
Statistically, it's true. Levels of violence are down across the board.
This government has made great investments in public safety. Police are better prepared and better trained, and men benefit from that.
I have to agree with what Carmen is saying. Look at the level of gun-related deaths in Canada. It's down. It's way down. And really, how many deaths are we talking about in the first place? I think that Canada is a safe and prosperous place, and most Canadians would agree. I mean, you're making it sound like we're living in a third world country. Are you trying to say that our police aren't competent?
This government is trying to repeal the gun registry law.
Let's keep to the subject, which is after all a celebration of men's achievement.
Look at the level of representation in this panel, in this media.
Well, thank you very much for all contributing to tonight's panel. It's been a lively debate, I'm sure you'll all agree, and I want to thank all our panelists for joining us tonight. That's all the time we have for now. Join us tomorrow night, where we'll have a special panel on keeping your pet healthy. How much kibble is too much? Until then, thank you and good night.
Justice.